My wife, let's call her Sarah, and I were what everyone called a perfect couple. We had a beautiful home, 2 amazing kids, and what I thought was a rock-solid marriage of 10 years. I worked as a software developer, often pulling long hours, but I did it all for them, to give them the life they deserved. Sarah was a stay-at-home mom, and our lives seemed idyllic, at least on the surface. But over the past year, something changed. The shift was subtle at first. Sarah started spending more and more time on her phone, smiling at screens I couldn't see. She began having girls' nights out, multiple times a week, coming home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. When I'd ask about her night, her answers were vague, filled with names of friends I'd never met. The intimacy we once shared vanished, replaced by a cold distance. I tried talking to her, asking if something was wrong, but she'd just brush it off, saying I was being paranoid and needed to trust her more. My gut told me otherwise. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the emotional chasm between you sit, all pointed to one thing. The thought of her cheating was a physical ache in my chest, but I needed proof. I couldn't confront her based on a feeling. So, with a heavy heart, I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed a small, discreet recording device in our living room and another one in our car. I felt like a villain in my own life story, but my need for the truth was overwhelming. It didn't take long. A few days later, while reviewing the recordings, I heard it. It was a phone conversation Sarah had in the car. Her voice was different, giddy, flirtatious. She was talking to a man, making plans to meet him at a hotel while I was on a supposed business trip that she had conveniently forgotten about until the last minute. The man's name was Mark. He was a personal trainer from a gym she'd recently joined. My world shattered. Hearing her laugh with him, hearing the words she used, words that were once reserved for me, was like a knife twisting in my gut. The pain was immense, but it was quickly overshadowed by a cold, calculating anger. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about the lies, the disrespect, the utter disregard for our family. I listened to more recordings. They spoke about their future, about how she was planning to leave me, take decades, and fight for the house and a hefty alimony settlement. Her plan was diabolical. She was going to paint me as an abusive, neglectful husband to ensure she got everything. The betrayal was deeper than I could have ever imagined. That's when my plan began to form. I wasn't going to just confront her. No, she deserved more than that. I decided to play her game, but I was going to play it better. The business trip was next week. It was the perfect opportunity. I told Sarah I had to go, feigning disappointment that I'd miss her. She put on a masterful performance, acting sad, telling me she and the kids would miss me terribly. It was sickening. Today of my trip, I packed my bags, kissed the kids goodbye, and gave Sarah a hug that felt like hugging a stranger. I drove to the airport, checked in for my flight, and even went through security. But I never got on the plane. Instead, I circled back, picked up my rental car that I had parked nearby, and drove to a small motel a few blocks away from the hotel where she was meeting Mark. I had a friend, a private investigator, on standby. My pai was a true professional. He set up surveillance and got everything. Photos of them checking in together, photos of them kissing by the hotel bar. The evidence was irrefutable, but I needed more. I needed to expose her plan to frame me. The next day, I returned home early, telling Sarah my trip was cut short. She was visibly flustered, but quickly composed herself. This was my chance. I sat her down in the living room, right where my recorder was still active. I started by saying, "Sarah, we need to talk. I know things have been difficult between us." I played the part of the concerned, slightly clueless husband. I asked her if she was happy, and then she launched into a script. She accused me of being controlling, of being emotionally distant. She even fabricated a story about me pushing her during an argument. My heart pounded in my chest as I listened to her lies, knowing my recorder was capturing every single word. She ended her tirade with the words I was waiting for. "I think we need a divorce, and I'm going to make sure I get what I deserve. The house, full custody, everything." That was my cue. I let the silence hang in the air for a moment. Then, very calmly, I reached for my phone and pressed play. The first thing that filled the room was her voice, flirty and giddy, talking to Mark. "I can't wait to see you, baby." He'll be gone for 3 whole days. The color drained from Sarah's face. Her eyes darted from my phone to my face, filled with panic and disbelief. I didn't stop there. I played the recording of her plotting with Mark to portray me as abusive. I played the part where she laughed about how easy it would be to manipulate the courts. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling around her, and the look of pure terror on her face was something I'll never forget. When the recordings finished, she was speechless, trembling. How could you? She stammered. How could I replied, my voice steady, but filled with all the pain she had caused me. How could you? You were going to destroy my life, take my children, and leave me with nothing, all based on a web of lies. You thought I was a fool, Sarah, but you underestimated me. The next day, I filed for divorce. My lawyer was astounded by the mountain of evidence I had. The recordings, the PI's photos, text messages. I had recovered it. Was an open and shut case. When we finally got to court, Sarah's lawyer tried to argue that the recordings were inadmissible, but given the context of the plot to commit perjury and fraud, the judge allowed them. Her entire case fell apart. She was exposed as a liar and an adulterer who had planned to manipulate the legal system. The judge was not impressed. The outcome was a complete reversal of what she had planned. I was granted primary custody of our children. She was ordered to pay me child support, and because of her blatant attempt at fraud, she received no alimony. She even lost her claim to the house. She walked away with practically nothing but the consequences of her own actions. It was a total victory, but it felt hollow. I had won the battle, but my family was broken. The aftermath was tough. Explaining the situation to the kids in an age-appropriate way was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. There was a lot of therapy, for me and for them. Rebuilding our lives as a new family unit of 3 has been a long and difficult journey. But slowly, we healed. The anger has faded, replaced by a sense of peace. I poured my energy into being the best father I could be, and into my own personal growth. Today, my kids are thriving. Our home is no longer filled with tension and secrets, but with laughter and love. I learned a brutal lesson about trust and betrayal, but I also learned about my own strength and resilience. I didn't just expose a cheater. I protected my children and secured our future. I got a second chance to build a genuine, happy life with the people who matter most. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that you are not alone, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.